What do you think are the wacky ideas, or really creative, or it's kind of absurd ideas that are existent in the market today or being adopted, especially around this?
Yeah. Well, I think there are these. I mean, it's interesting. I think when see pre-COVID, right? Pre-COVID, I mean, there were very few companies sort of giving this remote working opportunities and all that. And when sort of COVID hit, everybody went into this remote working mode, and it at least my feeling is that it worked out well, right? I think people realized that work can happen remotely. People can be productive. And I was hoping that that sort of stays, right? And I would have hoped that there is more amount of sort of remote working happening. Unfortunately, I don't see it picking up to the extent that I was hoping it to pick up. I think, but I think that's sort of one, definitely one way where that can, that will sort of encourage more and more, people to sort of get onboarded. There are a few companies that have started sort of offering full remote work. In fact, there are and beyond geographic restrictions as well, right? I think there are companies that are sort of, let's say, based out of US, offering full remote. Have employees working across the world. I think those, that for me is definitely sort of one thing that we should seriously think about. Yeah.
Just to add, especially on the Gen Z aspect, one of the things that a lot of companies, especially the tech firms I'm talking about, what they're doing is, let's say, they have a mandate, right? Like a significant portion of your work time, let's say 20%, 30%, should go into the activity which you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
They call it like 20% project, 30%
Yeah.
project, right? Like as an individual, you actively pick something out of your mandatory work regime to upskill yourself to either to kind of grow horizontally within the organization itself in terms of skill sets, in terms of different product areas, different business side, so that that also entice the talent to kind of hey, beyond my regular work life, I have additional opportunities to learn, which will not which will which will not be counted negatively if I want to do.
Yeah.
So that's another new thing, another really enticing thing for the Gen Z folks nowadays.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And to echo on that point, right? I think, um, I mean, these deep tech companies, while there are business imperatives that sort of require you to work on building these products, etc. Sometimes that you know sort of requires you to work get into an implementation mode, whether where you're not able to sort of spend enough time on, let's say, core research, which a lot of these companies have uh, post grad and PhDs getting hired, and when they have to get into an implementation mode rather than sort of focusing on research, that tends to create a bit of dissatisfaction.
Yeah.
And to Ravi's point, I think what I've seen is that creating those opportunities for research and somewhere sort of trying to strike a balance between research and these business imperatives, I think goes a long way in um, sort of keeping your employees happy and retaining them. And tying it back to your let's say your KRAs or appraisals, I think that's equally important,
Yeah.
because it you don't want to sort of you don't want it to seem like this is something that I'm is not getting recognized or appreciated, right? So that's where that appreciation or recognition also needs to tie in.
Also,
So yeah.
sorry. Just to add to that 30% project, I'll just give you an example of what we do in our company. So we've got this entrepreneurship program, not an entrepreneurship, an entrepreneurship, which basically is remove the risks of like investment, getting the team, and all that. But what we basically have done is collected ideas from anyone and everyone in the company, and out of them filter out the one which has great potential, about 5 to 10 odd ideas which have got great potential, go for the next step of getting them to elaborate and what these products are, how can this be built, what is the market sizing of this, what is the opportunity cost of all that, and then the selected 3 or 4 are given an opportunity to work on that idea. It's not the company's idea, it's their idea. So they work on that at company's cost, and we help them in terms of everything. And then once it gets productionized, once it starts bringing revenue, a significant portion of that revenue goes to this person who actually ideated it and grew that whole idea from gestation, from the beginning. So that's something that is now coming up quite well, and huge interest. We've got like 400 odd ideas coming in from people in the company, and now we're working on 3 huge ideas. And looking at it, it seems to be a $1 billion idea. So it's like
That's great.
worked really well.
Yeah, interesting perspective. So, what is the experience level at which the person can become a product
Anything,
owner?
right from a fresher. So the idea is an idea, right? It can come from anyone. It could be from a 50-year-old guy, or a 22 23-year-old person who's just joined from college into the company. But then he once the idea is matured, a team has to be formed, which is a sensible team. You can't have all college guys building this. So that choice is left to the team, as well as the company also saying that, look, he may add extra value, bring him in as well. And that's how it kind of forms.
You told the person ideate kind of drives the product home,
Correct,
right?
correct.
So,
He's
let's
he
say a
or she is
fresher
still
ideates a great idea, but then he does not have the skill set to, drive the product. Now, let's say you get in a product owner with 10, 15 years experience to drive it. Who gets the money? The
both,
idea
both, both,
guy.
both. They're
They're
co-founders.
co-founders.
They're
Okay.
co-founders.
Well, interestingly, Google also had like I'm not sure if you have heard about this Area 120 projects. That's exactly what you mentioned,
Right.
Sandesh. Like no, and ironically, a couple of Google bets have come out of that Area 120 project, which are kind of being pursued full time. So yes, whoever has ideated, whoever has being part of that execution team, and they're supposed to obviously like create their own business plan, right? How do you run the business if you were to be treated as co-founders? They get their fair share of revenue or proceedings as dictated. So that happens. It has been a very proven model.
Interesting. Now, now there could be a lot more people who want to be entrepreneurs but who don't have very
Yeah,
supportive
yeah,
ecosystem
Yeah.
exactly.